What's going on, you guys? EP09 back here with another video, and I'm sure that you've all heard the results of the Men's Open from last night's show by now. I didn't want to just make a video highlighting the results of the show. What I wanted to do was make a video for you guys highlighting not only the results of the show, but also if this show lived up to the hype that everyone said it would. You know, Steve Weinberger himself said that this could be the greatest Mr. Olympia competition since 1999.
Steve, I keep telling these guys all the time, and I might be wrong, but I doubt it. This will be one of the greatest Mr. Olympias of all time.
So I agree with you.
So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in this video. Was this the greatest Olympia since 1999? Did the competition deliver on all of the hype? I know myself and everyone else, we were all caught up in the hype train leading up to this competition. I think after a few years of what may have been considered lackluster competition at the Open Olympia, the update pictures and videos and trash talk and predictions, which all of us were wrong about the predictions, by the way, literally everyone, expectations were at an all-time high for this Olympia. You know, I'd be remiss not to start by giving credit where credit is due. We do have a new champion in Hadi Choopan, a changing of the guard, really. And I think that this was a really well-deserved victory. Not only was Hadi in the best shape on that stage, but he has been the most conditioned guy on that stage, arguably, since he joined the Open Olympia back in 2019, consistently placing in the top 3. This was his year. Now, one question is, why was this his year? I think Hadi looked like he was the most conditioned he has ever been in any of his Olympia competitions. But not only that, he kept that fullness and that roundness, and the level of separation was just on another level. You know, if you looked at his upper chest, you could really see it, especially, I found. Hadi also fixed his shoulders, which Steve Weinberger said was part of what held him back last year. But Steve also said that if he fixed those shoulders, that he could be a serious contender for that title. You know, the entire top 6 was fantastic this year, though. Hadi with the victory, Derek Lunsford in second, which was such an incredible addition to this lineup for so many reasons. Nick Walker, who took third and was most definitely improved from last year. Not only was Nick bigger overall, but he looked more aesthetic. Nick didn't just bring grainy conditioning that he's well known for, that we've seen in previous competitions, but Nick brought a streamlined physique to the stage. He also brought a new posing routine to differentiate himself further from not only the competition, but from himself last year in the package that he brought. So I would like to say that although he didn't get the victory, I think Nick did deliver on the hype that he created around himself. Unlike Blessing of Otabu. But yeah, the top 3 was amazing. I mean, the top 6 was amazing. Brandon was his biggest and fullest ever. And if Brandon had brought up his legs for this competition, we could have easily been talking about Brandon being crowned Mr. Olympia this year. Although Brandon did put in the hard work, it just wasn't enough. Now, when you look at a guy like Samson Dauda, just to talk about Samson for a minute, who was able to separate himself from the pack right out of the gate by being right next to Big Ramy during the initial quarter turns and prejudging. Like I said before, that definitely upped Samson's stock, and because of that, he could not be overlooked. He brought it again during the night show. He looked great. That landed him a well-deserved spot in 6th place. So congrats to Samson especially. I'm sure Fouad is over the moon for not only his friend, but for Hostile as a company as well. So good for them. Those are all around good things. Now, in regard to Big Ramy, I have seen a few different analysis going around the internet at this point about Big Ramy and how he did at the Olympia this year. The knots in his glutes, his blocky looking midsection, how he was kept to the outside of the first call-out during prejudging, although they did move him and Nick to the center during the last call-out of the night show. Big Ramy did bring great conditioning, and I think that his package during the night show did look overall more aesthetic. His most muscular and his front double looked great at the night show, including his midsection. But you know, there were still a lot of guys saying that Big Ramy was in the lead leaving the prejudging. King Kamali and John Hansen said it during their analysis with Dave Palumbo on RX Muscle. Even Nick Strength and Power. He said he thought Ramy was in the lead after prejudging. Although Nick has already admitted to eating his words on that one. But the question I wanted to ask is, you know, this Olympia was being hyped up to being compared to one of the greatest Olympias of all time, which was 1999. The potential quality of the lineup for the top 6 in particular was what I mainly wanted to look at. So let's take a look at the lineup in 1999 for the top 6, and I just want to focus on the top 6. Even though you had guys like Lee Priest, Paul Dillette, Dexter Jackson, Milos Sharshev, Jay Cutler. Mind you, there was less than 20 guys in the lineup that year, unlike this year. The top 6, though, included Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Sean Ray, Nasser El Sinbadi, and Kevin Levrone. What a monster lineup this was. Although Ronnie had a decisive victory in my opinion, as there has been ongoing arguments for years about whether Ronnie had his best Olympia showing in 1999 or 2003, the margins between competitors that year was the closest that bodybuilding has seen in quite some time, if not ever before. I think that's part of why 1999 is considered to be potentially the greatest Olympia of all time. So how does 1999 compare to 2022? You had Hottie, Derek, Nick, Brandon, Ramy, and Samson rounding up the top 6. And you know what? To be completely honest, I still feel like I'm working on my answer to that question. My gut tells me that the quality competitor was better in 1999, but the potential for this year to be an absolute knockout of a lineup tells me that that might make 2022 the greatest lineup of all time. If you compare the competitors and the quality of a combination of muscle mass and aesthetics, because conditioning was great for everyone in both 1999 and 2022 in the top 6, my gut still does tell me that 1999 was the greater competition. But how can you overlook the fact that Hottie Chupin showed up better than ever? Derek Lunsford took 2nd place at his open debut. Nick improved on his aesthetics when many claim that aesthetics cannot be improved upon when you have a certain structure. Brandon was well improved. Samson came out of nowhere. But with all that being said, to the fans, Big Ramy was disappointing. I'm still wondering exactly what happened to Big Ramy, the knots in his glutes, and his blown out looking midsection from both the front and the back during prejudging especially. Again, I do think Ramy looked overall more aesthetic during the night show. But the talk now is that there has never been a Mr. Olympia winner to go from winning the title the previous year to falling to 5th place the following year. So, with all that being said, which year was the greatest? I want you guys to leave me a comment down below with what your thoughts are on that. But further to that, let me know if this Olympia lived up to the hype for you as an individual fan. Think back to all the updates leading up to the Olympia. Some of the certainties, such as Big Ramy being the clear-cut winner with the update pictures like these, or how everyone was on pins and needles with regard to Nick Walker at less than 1 day out when he dropped an update picture showing how flat he may have been. And, Blessing talking all that trash, Andrew Jack saying that he would be in the first call-out at the press conference. Continue. Really think back. Was this the greatest Olympia competition for you? Of course, with this video, I also have to give a huge congratulations to Chris Bumstead, who did deliver on the hype and came out as we all expected him to. Chris really is the standard for Classic, and I believe that he'll continue to win for as long as he so chooses to compete. Regardless of if this was the greatest Olympia of all time or not, it was most definitely, without question, this year was one of the greatest Olympia competitions of all time. And that is something I'm happy I was able to witness. It's something I was thankful to be able to cover for you guys here on EP09. And I actually started my channel only a couple of weeks ago leading up to the Olympia. I've been considering starting a channel for a few years now, and I think this Olympia really pushed me to want to put my opinion out there and give you guys the most quality content I possibly could. I'm going to end this video by thanking you guys for all your support. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you want more bodybuilding coverage and analysis, because I'm not going anywhere. I think I found my calling over the last couple of weeks by doing this stuff. So again, thank you for tuning in to EP09. Leave me a comment down below on your thoughts. Please be sure to like and subscribe.